Good day everyone. I am John Glenn Inugas from BSIT 1B and I am here to present to you the topic about permutation and kind of permutation. First, permutation with repetition. Second, permutation without repetition. Third, combination with repetition. Fourth, combination without repetition. Let's tackle about the four topics and I will discuss. What is permutation? Permutation refers to the arrangement or ordering of a set of objects. It represents the different ways in which the objects can be ordered or arranged. In permutations, the order of objects is important. Even a slight change in the order of the objects will result in a different permutation. The number of possible permutation depends on the number of objects being arranged and whether repetition is allowed or not. The number of permutation without repetition can be calculated using the formula P equals factorial n factorial, where P represents the number of permutation without repetition. N is the total number of objects in the set. The factorial symbol denotes the factorial of a number. The factorial of positive integer n is the product of all positive integers less than or equal to n. For example, 5 factorial equals 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1 equals 120. Let's move to the first topic we will discuss. Permutation with repetition. A permutation a permutation with repetition is a way to arrange of or order a set of objects where some of the objects are identical. In other words, it is a permutation where there are repeated elements. Let's say you have a set of objects with n elements, and some of these elements are repeated. To find number of permutation with repetition, you can use the following formula. P equals n factorial r1 factorial times r2 factorial times so on and so forth times rk factorial, where P represents the number of permutation with repetition. N is the total number of objects in the set. R1, R2, so on and so forth, and Rk represents the number of repetitions for each repeated element. K is the number of distinct elements with repetition. Let's proceed to the example. Suppose you have the letters AAB and you want to find the number of permutation with repetition. N equals 3 total number of objects. N1 equals 2 repetition count of A. R2 equals 1 repetition count of B. There is only 2A and N1 is the repetition count of A. No repetition of B because it is only 1, the R2. Sorry. P equals 3 factorial, 2 factorial times 1 factorial equals 3 times 2 times 1. 2 times 1 equals 3. Therefore, there are 3 permutations with repetition for the given set of objects. AA, AAB, ABA, and BAA. In summary, a permutation with repetition occurs when there are repeated elements in a set, and the number of permutations can be calculated using the formula mentioned above. Next topic is permutation without repetition. A permutation without repetition refers to the arrangement or ordering of a set of objects where each object is unique, cannot be repeated in the arrangement. And then you guys, it is unique and cannot be repeated in the arrangement. To find the number of permutation without repetition, you can use the following formula. P equals n factorial, where P represents the number of permutations without repetition, N is the total number of objects in the set. The factorial symbol denotes the factorial of a number. The factorial of a positive integer n is the product of all positive integers less than or equal to n. For example, 5 factorial equals 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1 equals 20. Let's move on to the example. Yeah, this is an example. Suppose you have a set of 4 distinct objects A, B, C, and D, and you want to find the number of permutation without repetition. N, stand, N stands for total number of objects. Ito yan guys, ang A, B, C, and D. That is the 4 objects. P equals 4 factorial equals 4 times 3 times 2 times 1 equals 24. Why 24? Kailangan mo lang i-multiply ang 4 times 3 times 2 times 1. Giging kalabasan yan is 24 guys. Therefore, there are 24 permutation without repetition for the given set of objects. In summary, a permutation without repetition occurs when each object in the set is unique and cannot be repeated in the arrangement. The number of permutation without repetition can be calculated using the factorial formula. Unique na siya guys, magiging unique ang permutation without repetition kasi hindi siya paulit-ulit. Yan. Hindi. Yeah. The next is combination with repetition. Next is combination with repetition. A combination with repetition refers to the selection of a certain number of objects from a set where repetition is allowed. In other words, it is a selection where you can choose the same object multiple times. To calculate the number of combination with repetition, you can use the following formula. C equals n plus r minus 1 factorial. Next is r factorial times n minus 1 factorial, where C represents the number of combination with repetition. N is the total number of objects in the set. R is the number of objects to be selected. Alam niyo ito guys, ano ang factorial symbol. Let's move to the example. Here are the example to illustrate the concept. Suppose you have 3 types of fruits. Apples, orange, and bananas. And guys, you want to select 2 fruits from this set, allowing repetition. Dalawang prutas lang daw ang pipiliin. N equals 3, total number of distinct objects. Yan yung apples, orange, and bananas. R2, yung pinili mo na object guys. Number of objects to be selected. C3, C equals 3 plus 2 minus 1. Factorial. Next is 2 factorial times 3 minus 1 factorial equals 4. 2 factorial times 2 factorial equals 4 times 3 times 2 times 1. 2 times 2 equals 6. And guys, therefore, there are 6 combinations with repetition for selecting 2 fruits from the given set. In summary, a combination with repetition occurs when you can select objects from a set. Allowing repetition, the number of combinations with repetition can be calculated using the formula mentioned above. Next is the combination without repetition. A combination without repetition refers to the selection of a certain number of objects from a set where each object can only be selected once. In other words, it is a selection where repetition is not allowed. Remember guys, repetition is not allowed. To calculate the number of combinations without repetition, you can use the following formula. C equals n factorial r factorial times n minus r factorial, where C represents the number of combinations without repetition. N is the total number of objects in the set. R is the number of objects to be selected. Let's proceed to the example. Let's consider an example. Suppose you have a set of 5 books, and you want to select 3 books from this set without repetition. N equals 5 total numbers of distinct objects. Ito yung 5 books, guys. 5 books. 5 books. Sorry. R equals 3 number of objects to be selected. C equals 5. C equals 5. Eh, sorry. C equals 5 factorial, and 3 factorial times 5 minus 3 equals 5 factorial. 3 factorial times 2 factorial equals 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1. And 3 times 2 times 1 and times 2 times 1 equals 10. Therefore, there are 10 combinations without repetition for selecting 3 books from the given set. Nag-choose siya ng dalawang books, guys, tapos may 10 combination yung nakuha. May nakuha siya 10 combination without repetition. And guys, in summary, a combination without repetition occurs when each object in the set can only be selected once. The number of combinations without repetition can be calculated using the formula mentioned above. And that's all, guys.